Speaks for itself.
So, good evening. I am an introvert at heart, and I guess I'm just one of those people who really loved COVID. I kind of miss it, actually, because then I kind of wouldn't have to make excuses to come to these events and have to talk to you guys. But my dear friend Penelope has no sense of respect for my hermit habits. That's why I'm here sitting to make this more of a conversation, so it's not as intimidating for me. Jokes aside, thank you, Penelope, once again, and thank you, Vanessa, for always pushing me outside of my comfort zone and for making me come here tonight. It's great to see you all. And today I am here to talk about what it is like navigating challenges and fostering success in tech teams from a designer's perspective. Don't get me wrong, I know us designers are a pain in the ass sometimes with our shooting for the stars visual designs, but in my defense, you lot of engineers really love your outdated 90s style user interfaces. We can't have that anymore. Anyway, for those of you who don't know me, hi again, I'm Cristina, and for the past 5 years, I've been working as a product designer in the ever-evolving landscape of technology, helping startups build meaningful and valuable experiences. I've worked for 3 different startups so far, and in 2 of those, I was part of what is generally called a tech team, while in the other, it was more of what can be seen as a craft team setup. Even though the distinction between the 2 is not clear-cut, and the interpretation is open to organizational culture and industry practices, generally speaking, the main characteristic that may differ between the 2 is scope of expertise. A tech team might have a broader focus and include individuals with diverse technical skills across various domains within the technology spectrum of software development, while a craft team will typically be more specialized and expertise-focused. After having worked under both of these setups, my hypothesis is that the key to building meaningful products, and most importantly, a team that thrives in doing so, is determined by the seamless cross-collaboration between designers and developers within well-organized tech teams. In my very first talk, in the very early stages of my career, it was about the importance of cross-collaboration between designers and developers. And 5 years later, that's, I think, half a decade, I still stand by that irrevocably. And now I can even say that with more confidence because I've been able to gain more experience across different team settings and environments. But for some reason, and even though it's, like that's half a decade is 5 years, and that's a really, really long time, the majority of companies still fail to understand this. From a product designer's perspective, I'd like to talk about some of the challenges that I believe are intricate for the whole team when there is a lack of cross-collaboration. An effective collaboration is akin to a harmonious dance between designers and developers, where each collaborator contributes with their unique skills and perspectives. Designers bring creativity, user empathy, and a keen eye for aesthetics, while developers contribute with technical expertise, problem-solving abilities, and an understanding of the implementation constraints. So what happens when designers and developers aren't sitting in the same room or working in a pair designing programming atmosphere? For starters, a misalignment of goals. When defining objectives, because of the lack of both sides' expertise, incomplete or unclear requirements may cause the team as a whole to misunderstand the client or project specifications. which will lead to the development of solutions that do not meet the intended needs. An example, a designer, even with some basic knowledge of code, can't possibly consider the extent of technical implications and implementation constraints, which create most of the issues in the back and forth feedback loops that arrive, for example, in craft teams. A developer, in turn, doesn't often consider the empathy paths of the whole user experience. Then there's communication gaps. Miscommunication creates ineffective problem-solving issues. Not having discussions and challenge breakdowns can prevent the team's ability to resolve issues efficiently, which delays the time to identify and rectify problems and leads to project delays. Which brings up my next point, which are roadmap setbacks. Timely feedback is crucial in the tech industry. When team members are not sitting in the same room or working under this pair designing and programming atmosphere that I mentioned, this lack of communication can lead the team members to not have a clear understanding of their roles and responsibilities, which may then result in tasks being neglected or duplicated. And last but not least, adapting to changes. In the dynamic field of technology, changes are inevitable, and they're most likely a daily challenge for us all. Without proper collaboration and communication, a certain unmotivation in the work environment may start to rise, especially in remote setups where you aren't talking to each other on a coffee break, whatever that is, and might lead to a low morale and a decrease in productivity. This will ultimately make it harder for team members to adapt to changes and challenges smoothly, creating resistance or confusion. Together, however, this cross-functional synergy of seamless collaboration leverages each other's strengths to be more time efficient and create more user-centric solutions. For example, creating a cross-collaborative environment will lead to improved efficiency, where designers can push the boundaries of creativity while developers ensure the feasibility of the proposed solutions. In turn, this clears up the communication. Clearer understanding of the project requirements, goals, and timelines will minimize any misunderstandings, challenges, or roadblocks that the teams may encounter throughout the process. And this will also speed up the process. Feedback loops are tightened, fostering a quicker iterative process that leads to continuous and faster improvements, allowing teams to adapt to changes more efficiently, reducing the likelihood of bottlenecks and delays. And finally, better management. Enhanced collaboration by promoting a shared vision of the responsibilities and scope of the project enable teams to prioritize, plan, and execute with excellence. By blending these set of skills, this collaboration is not only beneficial for building cutting-edge and user-centric products, but absolutely essential to drive teams to successfully thrive in doing so. In more practical terms, what this does is it builds trust together. They deliver better and faster iterations, promoting a longer sense of success and drive for productiveness at work, strengthens the relationship between team members, which make them more likely to help each other solve complex challenges at work, but will also, on a more personal aspect, make people more likely to support and uplift the spirits of colleagues who may be going through difficult times, for example. And finally, it nurtures the positivity in team culture. Fostering cross-collaboration creates a sense of community and a more supportive atmosphere, which increases job satisfaction, boosts morale, and ensures that employees feel part of a larger mission, contributing to an overall and happier work environment. Now that I've gone through how to drive a team's success from a designer's perspective, as someone who loves working together alongside my fellow engineers and managers, I'd like to take this subject to a different point. Throughout my career as a designer, I sometimes wonder if I love my job, because at times it is really frustrating. And I don't mean like the actual part of doing my job, but having to constantly explain to people why I need more time to do things, why my job is important for their product or their company. And the more I talk with other colleagues, the more it becomes clear to me that this feeling is not just my own, but a common feeling among fellow designers working in the industry, which spikes my curiosity, and I was able to find some very brief but cool and interesting data that supports the understanding of this. 77.5% of companies fall under the low UX or design maturity levels defined by the Norman Nielsen Group, according to a study that was conducted this past year by a product designer called Matteo Latin. If you'd like to understand a bit more about this metric, you can go to the link over there, and it has a quiz, so you understand what that means. But ultimately, what this data is telling us is that the design maturity remains a huge problem in the tech industry and is one of the biggest reasons why designers leave companies or their jobs. The main takeaway from this is that most companies out there are still design immature, and there hasn't been any noticeable progress made in order to improve this. I assume most of you here tonight are engineers or managers, and I'd like to end my presentation with a few important questions for us all to think about and reflect on. If you are working in or for the tech industry, do you have to prove the value of your work? For example, if you're an engineer, do you have to prove the value of software development to your company? If you're a manager, do you have to justify product management to your stakeholders? It seems like most of the time, designers struggle a lot more to somewhat prove their value and justify the worth of their work. Ultimately, why is it that companies are so design immature and don't understand or question what designers do? Thank you.